Hear me out. We talk so much smack about lube. Intimacy feels nice when things are slick, when things are wet. So why wouldn't using a lube or an oil be a good investment? Hello and welcome to the Eva Bloom podcast. I'm your host, Eva Bloom, and I'm a career late bloomer coach, inclusive sex ed speaker, and community facilitator. The Eva Bloom podcast is all about giving you the tools and resources you need to come out as a sapphic person later in life, navigating second adolescence, dating, intimacy, figuring out your label, all with confidence and queer joy. When I am not supporting late bloomers and navigating all of those beautiful and complicated topics, you can find me reading a sci-fi or fantasy sapphic novel, starting a new craft project, or playing board games with friends. The Eva Bloom podcast comes out every single week on Monday. We are in our third season, which is so incredible. You can find us on YouTube for the video version and wherever you get your audio podcasts. So please subscribe and stick around. We got a lot of very exciting episodes coming out this season. More about dating and intimacy, about comp head and navigating all of that, friendships, breakups, all of that good sapphic queer stuff. This week is the Valentine's Day episode. I believe this is our first ever Valentine's Day episode on the Eva Bloom podcast. So give ourselves a little round of applause. Give ourselves a pat on the back, a little massage on the back. That's so exciting. As somebody who has worked in the field of sex ed, relationships, education, and continue to do so, this topic is so exciting for me. And we have a bunch of episodes about sapphic intimacy that we've done before, about communication, about being a late bloomer and navigating sapphic intimacy. I will link in the description a little playlist of all of those if you want to start diving in. But this week, we're talking about mixing it up. Let me just put some different things on your radar for what to do this Valentine's Day weekend. It's cold. We don't want to be outside spending money. What can we do to bring a little bit of pleasure into our lives? So whether you are a late bloomer sapphic who is starting your journey of sapphic intimacy and you want to know okay, how do you get intimate with a queer person? Or if you're somebody who has been around the block a couple times and are just looking for some new inspiration or just want to have sapphic intimacy, conversations about sapphic intimacy and sex ed be a little bit normalized, because there's not a lot of conversations in the mainstream about what sapphic intimacy can actually look like and how to make it fun and good. You are in absolutely the right place. That's what we're going to be talking about today. If you want even more information about different ways that you can have intimacy as a sapphic person, especially if you are a late bloomer or are new to the sapphic dating scene, you kind of want to know what's the 101, what's going on, or you want something fun to do this Valentine's Day week to get you in a little bit of a sensual mood, I am running one of my favorite workshops that I do, Sapphic Between the Sheets. I'm running that February 9th, 8 p.m. EST. So come on down. Would love to see you there. That'll also be linked in the description. It is, again, one of my favorite workshops that I run, and it's so fun because it's live. There are people in the chat. People are going to be cheerleading each other on. People are going to be sharing their tips, community knowledge sharing. It is so magical to be in a virtual room full of other sapphics who want to talk about this stuff without judgment or shame and just excitement. It is literally so healing, especially as a late bloomer sapphic, to be oh my gosh, it's not scary to talk about these things. In fact, it's really fun and hot that I really never was able to tap into this side of myself, and now I can, and the light shines down upon me. So without further ado, let's get into it. To start us off, let's break down what is sapphic intimacy. When I say that, what are we talking about here? Because like I said, there isn't a lot of representation of what sapphic intimacy can look like in mainstream media. That's not very for the male gaze, directed by a man, what he thinks sapphic intimacy is like. And there can also be a lot of gatekeeping and transphobia around what sapphic relationships and intimacy can look like. So I just want to set the record gay. They want to set the record gay here. That sapphic intimacy is so expansive. It can look like so many different things. So many different genders and bodies can be engaged in sapphic intimacy. If you are a woman or you feel connected to womanhood, you have a history connection to womanhood, and loving other women or people who also relate to that umbrella, then if you are sapphic. And if you are so mudra getting down, then you're having sapphic intimacy. So whether that is trans femme people, trans masc people, non-binary people, absolutely included in the umbrella, as well as cis lesbians, cis bisexuals, pan people, literally everybody in between. I love the label sapphic. I love how expansive and inclusive it is. So that's why I use it a whole lot. But yeah, sapphic intimacy can really look like so many different things. When we kind of leave that box of, okay, heterosex, of sex is penis going into a vagina, when you leave that behind, it can feel both exciting, exhilarating, and also a little bit overwhelming to be like, okay, so we really can do anything. What do we do? That's sometimes why there's a joke that sapphic intimacy is hours and hours long. Part of it is like, well, there's a lot of things we could do. So if there was no work to go to in the morning, maybe it would be, but also that's doesn't have to be for everybody. If quickies are your thing, or your body hurts, so you are not going to go at it for hours, that's also fine. But yeah, I'm really thinking about like expanding our brain, that like there are so many different erogenous zones, so many different parts of our body that can bring us pleasure, not just our genitals and not just focused on orgasm, really chasing those sensations, those pleasurable feelings, your neck, your ears, butt, chest. It's like power plays, thinking about like mental and like psychological things that turn us on. All of that is really included in this huge, vast landscape of what sapphic intimacy can be. The first area that I want to talk about when it comes to mixing it up, getting some ideas flowing for our Valentine's Day weekend, and just in general, good to have stuff to think about. Watch this video with your girlfriend. Send this video to your girlfriend. Take some notes. Talk about it afterwards. One of the things that I think immediately comes to my mind, and probably also your mind, is toys, spicy toys. If we want to mix things up, we want to go to spicy toys. And I think that's a really great place to go. And I don't think you need to splurge out on the most expensive, like, oh, it's got all this technology and it does all these things and it whirs and it flips and it gets hot and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, that rocks. Sometimes all those features are for a reason, but also going to a sex toy store and like walking around and just like getting inspiration and like learning new things and getting that conversation going with your partner can be a huge benefit in itself. And I also think that there are a bunch of different toys and tools that can be really versatile and really deliver on that promise of spicing things up, creating novelty, new sensations, where you don't have to break the bank. So I want to share some of my top recommendations for that. As I said at the beginning, sapphic intimacy, super vast, super diverse. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. If I'm giving recommendations and you're like, that doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for my body, it doesn't work for my partner, cool. That's okay. Like literally different strokes for different folks. We're not going to like everything, but these will maybe get the juices flowing, get the ideas flowing for what you think will work for you. So my first recommendation is any type of textured or grinding product. I am so excited that it seems like the market is getting on board with the fact that like people like to grind, that having some type of texture against your genitals, against your body, feels good. So whether that is a grinding attachment to put on a toy for strap-on sex, or a tool that the whole purpose is to grind. So whether that you're putting it on the bed and riding it that way, or your partner's like rubbing it against you, really great options. In terms of an attachment for strap-on sex, Banana Pants makes some very cool ones. And there's also Desert Island, which is a Canadian company that is recently creating some more, which is very exciting to see. I also think of something like The Grind by Bellessa. This is gifted as part of a previous sponsorship, but this video is not sponsored. Basically, you sit on it, you can grind on it. There's also a little remote control, which give that remote control to your partner. That's a fun time. Obviously, these can be a little bit more expensive, but I think the Bellessa one is a bit of a lower price point. But yeah, if you do want to splash out for the Valentine's Day season, could be something to consider. My next item or example of a category of tools that might be fun in terms of spicing things up are nipple suctions, nipple clamps, any type of nipple accessories. I feel like the vibrators and dildos of the world are very obvious in terms of go-to sex toys, but there are a lot of really cool, like innovative toys for chest play. So these are little suction cups. They kind of suction and stick this way. There are also more serious business suction cups, a little bit more technology, are going to stay in place with a little bit more fervor, as well as nipple clamps if you're more interested in intensity or pain and pleasure combo. Those can be accessory toy that's at a little bit of a lower price point that can provide some new sensation, novelty. I feel like can be incorporated into different kinds of power play situations as well, which can be fun for like mental stimulation and arousal too. My next tool for mixing things up, creating new sensations is a flogger, which I know this might seem quite overwhelming, especially if you have not explored sensation in terms of pain. But flogger is not just about pain. You can use these little dangly leather bits in a lot of different ways, whether that's like stroking over the body. You don't have to like whip it so hard. You can do like a little whip, trying over different parts of the body. So this could be another little option for sensation to more intensity as well. It can be something that you incorporate into some kind of power play. My next recommendation is a really nice lube or oil. Again, you're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna spice it up. I'm gonna get a nice lube. But okay, hear me out. We like talk so much smack about lube. Intimacy feels nice when things are slick, when things are wet. So why wouldn't using a lube or an oil be a good investment? So whether that is a massage oil, give your partner a massage, whether that's a back massage, hand massage, foot massage, butt massage, gentle massage, pick your poison. Getting a really luxurious oil, chest massage. Imagine, you're imagining. It can be really luxurious and can be very passionate and arousing, and they're not so expensive, again, compared to a sex toy that has all the bells and whistles and doodads and all that stuff. This is a sex oil with CBD by Foria. There was a big boom in terms of CBD products in the sexuality industry in like 2020, 2021. Do they change the game? Are they magic potions? No, I don't think so. But can it maybe like promote blood flow? Is it a little fun and extra spicy to be like, oh my God, it's an oil with CBD? That's fun. So yeah, that might be something that I recommend. My last recommendation in terms of toys and tools to mix things up is a blindfold, which again seems like a pretty simple device, but can be really powerful. Think about like psychological, mental. There is an element of losing control, taking control, of not knowing. You'll see what's about to happen, which can be very fun. Also, when you dampen one sense of your like seeing, it can really heighten all the other senses that you're experiencing. It can also, promote letting go, release. So something like a blindfold can be very simple. If you're not necessarily changing the types of acts that you're doing, it can add another layer and feel a little bit special and fun and novel. The next category of things I want to chat about in terms of spicing things up for this Valentine's Day season is strap-on play, intimacy, which maybe that's in your routine. You're like, yep, that's my go-to. Or maybe this is an opportunity to explore something that you maybe haven't before. I know that exploring strap-on intimacy can feel very overwhelming. It requires a little bit of tools. It requires some things that you have to maneuver and sort out. So yeah, I want to give some different recommendations for things that you can explore. The first being different harnesses. There are lots of different types of harnesses, whether you want one with like straps, one that is leather, one that is more of like a boy short. You can check out my previous video for more of like a rundown on the different types of harnesses, or you can come to my workshop on tonight, February 9th at 8 p.m. EST. And I'm going to really be getting into all the details about strap-on sex. How do you do it as potentially somebody who is exploring sapphic intimacy for the first time? But yeah, one of the things that you can explore if you want to spice things up or change things up for the Valentine's Day season can be to splash out on a new harness, whether that's a really nice leather harness, love Aslan Leather, New York Toy Company, or a different style of harness. You can get different thigh harnesses, foot harnesses, harnesses to go on your palm. Come on, a little thigh harness on your leather thigh harness? So rider can ride. Oh, beautiful. I don't have a leather one to show you, but I do have one from Sport Sheets, which is a little bit more athletic looking, but this is firm in place and like comfortable, especially in terms of accessibility. If you want to try a different position that maybe you can go a little bit longer in. Yeah. Thigh harnesses can be something that like is maybe new to try if you want to spice up your experience of strap-on sex. Another thing to explore is, of course, getting a new dildo, whether that is a new material, maybe you get something that is a little squishier or a little firmer, a different shape, has different ridges, or like is designed for specific stimulation of G-spot or A-spot. I want to specifically highlight the Wet for Her toys, which thank you to Wet for Her, who've previously sponsored an episode of the podcast. They are a sex toy company created by lesbians and sapphic people for sapphic people, and you can tell. Again, I've been in the sex industry for like over 10 years. These toys are incredible. They wow me. This is one, maybe the smoothest sex toy I've ever experienced. So squishy. You can like move and bend them a little bit, and they come with built-in like ridges at the bottom. So if you do want to splash it on a new dildo for strap-on sex, Wet for Her, I would highly recommend. It's also incredible. It's like firm enough to hold in shape, but just so squishy and comfortable. Lesbians do it right. That's all I'm saying about that. You can also get a different accessory for added sensation. For example, like the Wet for Her comes with these little grinding beads, but you can get an accessory to attach on, like from Banana Pants or from Desert Island or Fuse. Some of them include a spot for a like bullet vibrator to go in, or it's just the texture. So that could be something if you want to spice up your strap-on sex for the Valentine's Day season. Next up, in terms of how to have a little bit of a special Valentine's Day season, introduce some little novelty, a spicy action into your sapphic relationship, is different fantasy conversation starters, different erotic materials. Come on. I mean, I know the things that Heated Rivalry did to me and my girlfriend when we watched it. So I would suspect that if we were reading back and forth some erotic short stories together, or like watching erotic materials in terms of like video or comics or audio that were specifically about sapphic people, I think that would go pretty nicely, both in terms of talking about like, okay, what are some things that you want to try? What are some things that you like about this? So you can explore that, but also it's just like hot to look at hot stuff with your girlfriend, with your partner. So my number one recommendation always for sapphic video erotic material is queercrush.com. I love queercrush.com so much. It is literally directed and created by sapphic people, and it includes all sapphic performers. And again, you can tell like the scenes are just so much more authentic, and they include little interviews with the scene partners. There's just so much like laughter and silliness, and also like it's obviously so fun, so hot. Doesn't feel performative. There's so much diversity in terms of the performers, in terms of body types, in terms of BIPOC performers, in terms of trans performers. And yeah, queercrush.com rocks. Just go and then tell me that I was right. Next up, something that I want to check out. I love graphic novels. I love comics. And there's a very exciting comic that I want to check out called Succulent. which is a sapphic erotic comic anthology that is trans and non-binary inclusive. That might be fun. Read through it with your girlfriend or with your partner, or read through it by yourself. Take some little pictures. Be like, what about that? Also, very maybe fun and silly. I suspect there may be one good company here of people who either didn't leave Tumblr or who are going back to Tumblr as one of the remaining bastions of not terrible social media. But recently my girlfriend and I were scrolling the hashtag dyke posting on Tumblr, and whew, there is written erotica, there are thirst traps, there is beautiful art, erotic art. 10 out of 10 would recommend as an activity to do with your partner. Lastly, in terms of spicy things up for Valentine's Day, I want to talk about dirty talk and also communication. I know for some people when they say dirty talk, you're like, that feels overwhelming, that feels scary. We're thinking performance anxiety. We're thinking, I'm not a composer of gorgeous erotic phrases. I don't want to do that. But dirty talk is just describing how you're feeling, using different words to describe your partner that make them feel good. Yeah, I think it can be a really awesome tool to build that connection and connectivity in the bedroom. It can also be incorporated into different power play or heightening different power play for folks who maybe struggle with wanting to get more into their body and out of their head in the bedroom. I know for me, it's been a really great tool to kind of ground myself in the moment. So I am a big fan of that as a tool in terms of both fun and support as well. One of my favorite resources for communication or dirty talk is card decks. It can be nerve-wracking to start practicing talking to your partner outside of the bedroom. It's a great way to go. It can be what do I say? What do I just be like, hey, let's talk about sex more. But a lot of those card decks that you see in sex toy shops are hetero as all get out. They are not designed for sapphic people or queer people in mind, but lucky for you, I have 2 really good card decks that are created by queer people. So this one is the Cool to Connect Intimate deck. This one is really amazing. It's created by a queer coach, also literally by a business coach, Erica Eileen, and it is incredible. I would say that this is both a communication prompts and also activity prompts. So I'd say great for Valentine's Day. Also, Erica can't help but be a coach. So these are cards that if you go through them, you will learn things about yourself and how you relate to sex. You'll learn about your partner. This is not just a hee oh my God, this is hot fun time. This deck will transform the way you think about sex. So there's that. We have a cute little read me first and read me after for aftercare. This is just on another level. One of the prompts is undress your favorite part of your body to be touched, have your partner kiss it, then cover it back up, continue playing. Come on. Make out with a part of your partner's body that is not a typical spot you pleasure. Make a sexy time playlist together. These are so good. Erica's just so good. And I love that there is a read me first and read me after in terms of really supporting the whole experience. This is a new deck that I am really excited to play. It's by Happy Tears, which is a Canadian, again, queer-owned company based out of Montreal. And they have a bunch of decks. They have a general fun deck, a bunch of questions. They have one for just talking about LGBTQ plus issues with your friends, which I think is really huge. But this is their date night deck. And yeah, they have 4 different categories of spiciness, which really helps you kind of choose your own adventure. A lot of them are about building intimacy, just having conversations. And then we get a little deeper, which is fun too. What is your favorite part of my body? I would say this is a little bit more about intimate connection. I love this one. His body hair is blank, which feels so gay men to me, but also as a lesbian, Bush is back, baby. So maybe not. But yeah, it you can tell that it feels created by a queer person. So if you're looking for building that emotional intimacy as part of your Valentine's Day experience, I would really recommend the Happy Tears, and then you do the Cool to Connect afterward to get sexy. I just want to support brilliant queer businesses who are doing cool stuff. This rocks. This rocks. In terms of actual dirty talk tips, not to humble brag, but I did my master's thesis on sexting. So I read a lot of papers, did a lot of research. Some of my like quick tips. I love Dan Savage's 3-part dirty talk technique where you describe what you want to happen, what is happening, and what just happened. And that can really simplify things and take a lot of anxiety. So just be like, oh, like, I love it when you lie on the bed for me. I can't wait to absolutely devour you. Being like, that is describing what you want to happen. Be like, wow, it's like so sexy when you look up at me. And then describe what just happened. Be like, wow, like it was so amazing when you like fucked me like that with like the new dildo. It felt amazing. So for example, it can also be helpful to think of different words, different honorifics that like feel good for you and your partner, what language feels good, whether or not you're using it in a power play context, but things like good girl, good boy, classique, pet, goddess, baby, slut, like thinking about those different words can help really evoke a feeling, and thinking about like for yourself, like what do I want to feel in the bedroom? What do I want this experience to feel like? And kind of exploring words from there. Before I move into the last segment of the podcast where I share all things I'm loving right now, I just want to affirm that sapphic intimacy, sapphic pleasure does matter in a world that is really gunning like anti-queer for our rights, for our ability to live joyfully and freely within our community. Connecting with our pleasure, things that feel good in our body is something that is so powerful. Our bodies are something that we have access to. Like, obviously, it's cool to have all these different toys and tools and accoutrement, but when it comes down to it, like, feeling good in your body is not something that anybody can take away. So connecting with that and like talking about it, really normalizing conversations about sapphic sex, sapphic intimacy is, I think, really important because it is something that is real, something that's a part of what it means to be sapphic for so many people. For so many people also, maybe that does not as much play a role. If you're on the A spectrum, I think it's really important, and your pleasure matters. I hope that you carve out some time to explore your sensuality, your erotic landscape, what your fantasies are, and really allow yourself to nurture that like sapphic intimate part of you. And come to the workshop Sapphic Between the Sheets on February 9th, tonight, 8 p.m., if you want even more resources and tools. But let's talk about what I'm loving right now. Books that I'm reading, music I'm listening to, stuff I'm cooking, and creators I'm loving right now. In terms of what I am reading, I just finished reading The Rainbow Duology by Sunny and Gloomy, which is a graphic novel series. It looks very beautiful and sweet and like bubbly. It's YA, but it deals with some really intense topics around addiction and familial abuse. But I think it's a really important and beautiful story because teens are dealing with really intense topics. That is part of the reality of life for so many queer teens. And it does have a happy ending, which I think is really important. And has a very cute sapphic storyline, love story, which is really cute. So I would recommend it if that's something that you might be interested in. But absolutely check out the trigger warnings first. In terms of what I'm listening to, I am back to Katie Gavin's What a Relief album. So good. just hits the spot to like bring some levity to the cold months. In terms of food, what I gifted my dad for Christmas was a little food adventure. Gonna go get Thai food. So we have plans to go to Thai Mart, which is in Toronto, because he did like an exchange to Thailand in his youth. And that is one of the things that our foodie little brains connect on. So that'll be fun. A creator that I'm currently obsessed with is Isaac, all-time Isaac Sanders, who is a social work researcher who is talking about imagining, envisioning new worlds. And I'm really obsessed with their evidence-based approach, and also balancing being grounded in like reality of what's going on and also talking about hope and connection in a way that's very inspiring. They recently published a reel about different TTRPG systems and the ways that we can use TTRPGs as a way of imagining new worlds for ourselves, which is something that I love to talk about. So yeah, overall, I'm just like really obsessed. But that brings me to the end of this video. If you want even more resources on how to spice things up in the bedroom for Valentine's Day, or learn about how sapphic sex works if you're a late bloomer, just get some different exercises and inspiration, feel free to join us for the workshop tonight, Sapphic Between the Sheets, February 9th at 8 p.m. EST. If you missed it, you can also jump on and grab the replay. So it'll be there in the description for you regardless, but I would love to see you there. Again, if you're not subscribed to the Eva Bloom podcast, please do that. We got a bunch of really cool episodes coming out all about second adolescence, queer time, dating, friendships, breakups. All things sapphic and queer are happening over on this page, as well as anywhere you get your audio podcast. So please subscribe, rate, like it, share with a friend who you think wants more sapphic podcasting in their life. Other than that, stay curious, keep blooming, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!